everyone, and welcome to another News Coolum video. And if I look like a ninja, it's because, well, COVID. I'm here at the LA Auto Show. What I wanted to do is just kind of walk around the convention center and give an overview for those of you who can't really make it yourselves. There's a lot of EV specific stuff here, and that's basically all I'm going to focus on. So I'm just going to kind of walk around and point out things of interest. I'm going to do standalone separate featurettes for each of the EVs that I'm really interested in. One of the things that happened with the LA Auto Show, though, is they stopped doing as many concepts, and most of what they're showing at this point are actual consumer goods. So it's almost more like a showroom or a dealership lot, which in some ways makes it better for my channel, because what I'm interested in is sharing what people can actually buy, and of course in particular electric vehicles themselves. And there seems to be a decent amount of that being shown and covered here. So yeah, I'm just gonna kind of walk around, and Hyundai has a cool display up over here. Fisker is going all out with their Ocean. So yeah, I'm gonna just go around and show what's going on. Okay, so this is the Electrify America display here. It's this is the sort of solar panel covering that I displayed in that Santa Clara charging site. So I don't know if these are more interactive than the displays that they had before. Before it was pretty much just locked in, but this actually looks like a lot of their units are powered. They had a display with their level 2 units outside, which is really nice. They decided they wanted to showcase their Cygnet Chargers here. Obviously, their Cygnet high-power chargers, where I'm actually personally more of a fan of their BTC power units, but these are not bad. I think Evgo is using them as well now too, so that's nice. But yeah, this is actually looks like might even be a fully functioning, though I don't know if it's fully powered. Who's going to pull a car in here and plug in, though I don't know, because they have a few of them around the display there for the mobility, and then of course Hyundai has one over there, it looks like, too. So I don't know if that's for their vehicles, but yeah, so Electrify America is they have a nice display here. I think you can come in and ask questions, and then this is of course their level 2 AC charger. So I'm lazy, I'm not going to walk all the way over there, but they have a bank of those outside too. So pretty cool display. And like I said, I think I wish all of their sites looked like this, right, with this individual solar panel covering. Just estimating, I would say this would be close to a 1 kilowatt solar panel array, just based on that. If they deployed chargers like this with a single power pack or something else to do low power grid hookups, I think a site like this would be really, really compelling. Even if it was just 4 or 5 units, you can just spread them out where you need them. It's pretty cool. This is the Zivas. I guess this is funded maybe by Electrify America, because I was actually surprised to see Tesla's here, just because Tesla's usually, Tesla hasn't even answered any of my media inquiries because they got rid of their department. So I think this is it's basically up to third parties or maybe even individual owners to bring their cars and display them here. But it's nice that Electrify America is helping to fund this. So yeah, so it's celebrating the top zero-emission vehicles available for sale or pre-order. So given that, I would say this is a fairly limited display at this point, because it's basically 3 Teslas in a canoe, and to me, that none of that is compelling. Maybe the canoe, but not really my cup of tea. I'm really more interested in cars that cost new, maybe $40,000, $50,000 before incentives. When you start to throw out $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 cars as the most compelling offerings, I think you're setting a really bad example in terms of overall EV adoption where I would really like to see more $30,000 to $40,000 EVs here. So it does look like they have their award winners here, but you know, having a paper display isn't quite the same as having the cars here, which I think, like I said, you want to get butts and seats, and a paper display and an award isn't going to do that. Even a car behind a display case isn't going to do that. So I'd actually really like to see more participation from the other auto manufacturers, and maybe have them bring display cars if they win this award, so people can sit in them, feel them, you know, that sort of thing. And this is the Canoe, which, you know, I have mixed feelings about. I'm all about utility. This is more of a van style, but you know, for me, if I'm going to get a vehicle that's a off-road vehicle, a cargo vehicle, to me those are all earmarked for working vehicles, and these are all just fancy. So I mean, they're very pretty, they're very nice, but I don't know that I would necessarily be interested in one myself. They do have the information here. So they're estimating a 250 mile range, which is, you know, it's workable, right? It's what you'd want. Decent fast charging speed. So they're saying 28 minutes, probably not to full, but to what? 80 kilowatt hour battery pack. So yeah, I mean, they're basically targeting sort of the light duty market. So yeah, so there you go. But this all looks like this, almost, I'll just call it a van SUV, but they are planning the truck, which I'd like to see, and a more of a multi-purpose vehicle. So yeah, I mean, barn find. Yeah, see, this is where I would have a car and it wouldn't be that pretty. So I don't know, it's nice though. It looks really nice. Looks capable enough. You've got a skateboard in case you need it. Here's again the Ionic 5, the one that everybody you know, is looking for. Now again, I'm not a huge fan of that 30-minute complimentary charging. To me, that's problematic, especially for urban networks where people just won't charge at home. You know, the chargers are so close to them, so convenient. They'll just use free sessions, and it's 3 unlimited 30-minute sessions, so that's better. But we already saw problems with that with Evgo's network, where it made Evgo's network completely unusable in the cities, and that's what I fear is going to happen to Electrify America if they keep pushing complimentary charging sessions. I think the Mach-E makes more sense with its sort of limited 250 kilowatt hours of free charging. So they have lots of options here. Of course, the single and dual motor options. So I mean, that's decent power, not mind-blowing. But then again, I think we started to get spoiled with mind-blowing power. I don't think most people need anything more than about 300 horsepower. Truthfully, most drivers don't need anything more than about 100 horsepower, but that's a story for another day. But I will give Hyundai kudos for where they're placing their display, just kind of like Fisker right toward the beginning. You have to go through this to see everything else. So when it's a little less crowded, I might try and go and sit in some of them. No, that's not an all-electric Corvette. Yeah, so this is a big criticism here for Chevy right now. I don't care that the Bolt EV and the Bolt EUV are under a battery recall. I don't care. They should be here. They're probably the most affordable, most attainable EV available in the United States right now, and probably one of the all-around best EVs available for the price. And you don't have a single one displayed here, not one. So I get that, yes, it's under a battery recall. Yes, I get that that could be a black mark. But turn lemons into lemonade. What you're doing to repair those is making owners very, very happy. I can say that as someone who owns a Bolt EV with 144,000 miles on it. Getting a brand new battery after 5 years of ownership with a full warranty and full coverage, fully replaced, that's a big deal, and that shows a commitment to fixing an issue. Show that, display that, tell people what you have going on, because a lot of people are still interested in the Bolt EV and the EUV. You know, the Disney campaign worked magic. You know, it actually got people interested in that car, so I don't care that it's not currently available for sale. I don't care that it has a stop sale on it. I want to see it here. So I'm going to do one more walk around, so hopefully I don't eat my words, but I don't see any Chevy EVs on display here. That's a problem. Nope. Not even at the back of the room. Yeah, Chevy, get your EVs out here. You have them. Display them. Hello, my pretty. Oh boy. So I will let the channel in on a secret. This is still possibly my favorite electric vehicle currently available for sale in the United States. And it's one real simple reason for it. It's a truly off-road capable electric vehicle. Now, big criticism of it, of course, is, you know, the combination of efficiency and charging speed makes your trips a little bit longer, but it travels roughly about the same amount of time as my Chevy Bolt EV would travel using, you know, faster chargers. So that's obviously an acceptable travel time for long distance trips. I've covered 1,000 miles in a day. It's not that difficult to do, other than the fact that driving 1,000 miles in a day is horrific. But this car would be capable of that if you just plan your trips appropriately and know what you're doing, essentially. But otherwise, it's well designed, it's comfortable, it's capable. Like I said, it's probably the only, right now, truly off-road capable EV. Yeah, sure, there's the Rivien R1t that's coming out. I guess it's finally shipping, but you've been able to buy this for almost 3 years, and that is a pickup truck. This is essentially a large car. And that makes it very, very useful and very, very palatable for a lot of people who know they want a car and they know they don't need a truck. So yeah, I mean, my big criticisms of this are, well, really it's only one, is the price. You get a lot for the price, but it's you know, it's still more expensive than the average consumer can buy. And so to me, that's probably the single biggest criticisms of this. Oh me, oh my. Oh, an electric canoe. This is honestly one of the vehicles that I'm most looking forward to. You know, I gave the Nissan Leaf a hard time for a long time because I feel like Nissan didn't evolve it. This is an evolution. The Aria is an evolution, and it's not just the CCS charging, right? It's the fact that, you know, they added liquid cooling, they made a different platform, a larger platform, giving more options, you know, both front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive options. I think this is going to be a huge, huge win for Nissan, the Aria. It's priced right, it's in the right market, it's in the right, you know, it's in the right segment. It's got the right capabilities. So, and Nissan has already proven that they can. You know, they've already proven that they can do EVs right, so they don't need help with that. This, though, is just awesome. This is sweet. And I just overheard a little birdie say something about a $500 Evgo credit. See, that I'm okay with. Not the free charging like what Electrify America is doing now, but a $500 credit makes a lot of sense. And hopefully, I want to hear an announcement from Nissan soon, similar to GM's, that they're going to help fund even more Evgo charging locations like the ones that GM is helping to fund. Maybe even a partnership with GM to fund some highway-specific charging sites with Evgo would be a good option at this point. So I'm going to do a quick shameless plug, as I call them, shameless plugs. So I was just informed, and you know, this is the Nissan Ariya reservation QR code. I was just informed that if you reserve a Nissan Ariya right now, it's a $500 fully refundable deposit, but you get $500 in Evgo credit. So it's essentially, if you travel a lot, if you use Evgo Chargers a lot, it's a free deposit. So the deliveries start next fall, but that's huge. And again, I'm a fan of that more so than free charging, right? I want people to have skin in the game. I don't want them to just get free access to resources and then possibly clog them up or use them up or whatever. But this is a big benefit. It's basically like a $500 credit on the Nissan Ariya. And then I know no other news agencies are really covering it, but the Evgo network is expanding very, very quickly. GM is funding over 3,000 chargers that are all 100 kilowatt and 350 kilowatt. You know, one of the largest networks in the United States. To me, it's a no-brainer. If you're even considering the Nissan Ariya, put $500 down, fully refundable deposit, and if you do go through with the purchase, you have $500 in Evgo credit. So that's huge. All right, I'm just going to say, no fair. They told me no tripods. Now all of a sudden there's a boom. That's just crazy. I guess I can't just hop into that one now. So this is apparently one that we can get into eventually. I'm not going to get into their shots, into their angles, but sorry. So, you know, 300 miles of range. Again, you know, fully capable. If you look at the DOT statistics, right, less than half the people in the country make a 300-mile round trip once a year. You know, and if you need to charge, there's plenty of chargers. This comes with a very fast charge rate. Now, I did actually have a chance to test out the initial Pro Pilot on the Nissan Leaf refresh, and you know, I thought it was decent. I thought it was okay. One of the better options available at the time. So I'm really interested to, you know, see the improvements that they've made with Pro Pilot Assist 2.0. You know, like one of my big complaints about Nissan with their e-pedal was that it used the friction brakes. I don't think that's necessary. I hope that they aren't preserving that here with the Ariya. But yeah, just overall, this is a very compelling EV that I think you're going to see a lot of them sold. It's going to be very, very popular. You know, they have that promotion with Evgo, and I'm really hoping that Nissan announces sometime soon that they're doing a similar funding to what GM is doing for the Evgo network. I'd actually love to see a collaboration, because I know BMW does it as well. But GM, BMW, Nissan collaborate and maybe specifically ask or specifically contract Evgo to build a highway charging network specifically for long distance travel. Because the cities are getting covered now, but with these 300-mile range EVs, for those who do take longer trips, that intra-city charging network and infrastructure is essential. So I'm a bit proud of Subaru here, so I'm glad they're doing this. So I know they've gotten a little bit of flack for this, but yeah, I'm a fan. So yeah. Oh boy, this is disorienting. I'm actually going to get ill if I stay here. So the Solterra, I like the name even. Just full disclosure, I'm an old school WRX owner, and I really enjoyed that vehicle. So I think Subaru knows how to build a good car. So unfortunately, I think there's a lot of noise here, so I don't know that I'll be able to do a full-on review of it.
And enhancing environmental stewardship for park visitors.
Yeah.
Initiative 2.
Yeah, I might need to just do an audio overlay. They did say I could get into it.
Exploration and recreation.
So, put the sound down a little bit. Wireless charging, of course, I think that's going to be just like expected minimum. This is an interesting gear shifter. Again, I just keep it simple. Just use it as buttons. This is sliding very easily. Sorry. Decent sized screen. I don't know, though, in terms of, I think they're going to need to tone this interior down in terms of consumer level product. Just like, this is my point of view. You can't see the DIC. Yeah, I think you can adjust the steering wheel, but yeah, that's pretty obscure. And I'm also not a big fan of this cockpit style seating. Again, I never have been. I feel like this column, you know, if you don't need a column there, don't put one there. Putting soft cloth interior. One thing I will say though is Subarus, in my experience, have always been very, very comfortable. But power steering or power seat doesn't work right now. So yeah, I think this is great. I might actually try the raindrops on the screen. I might actually try to get a little bit farther away from this so there's less noise, and I can maybe give my thoughts on this, because you know, I really do like, again, Subaru as a company. They're very reliable. You know, you can expect a lot out of them as a company. Going to be going with the CCS standard. I know they got some criticism for the range and maybe even the styling a little bit, but I don't mind. I think it's on brand for them. And 200 miles, let's just be honest. A 200 to 220 mile EV will serve most people's needs as long as it can charge to 80% quickly. Now, they said, I believe, an hour to 80%. So this is putting it in very similar ballpark to the Chevrolet Bolt EV. So if that's what you're providing, I think this needs to be starting well under $40,000. This needs to be probably a $30,000 to $32,000 EV at release. One thing I do want to note though is, and this is so important, is they say 8.3 inches of ground clearance. So that's really good for an EV. Alright, so I can tell even without moving the seat, there's a massive amount of seat room. Vents back here, power plugs, heated seat. This maybe is a decked out version, but this is really, really nice. I'm actually really, really liking this. Everything is comfortable. So yeah, this is going to be a really well-appointed EV if they make it in this style. Like I said, I want to see them tone down the front a little bit, make it a little bit more user-friendly. I'm not a huge fan of how it's designed right now, but comfort, size, you can't see me now, but it's camo hat, so plenty of headroom. So probably 6 foot 1, 6'2" at most, probably could sit back here comfortably. But the seating position is normal, right? This is just normal seating, so you don't feel out of place or anything else. I mean, this really does kind of look like the Subaru Crosstrek, maybe a little bit bigger. But one thing I wanted to say about the ground clearance, why it's so important. Part of the reason I am able to get away with going off-road so much with my Bolt EV is because it's got a shorter wheelbase. So what they call the breakover angle is better. If you're going to do a wider wheelbase, you need to lift it up. Now that impacts aerodynamic efficiency, but it gives you basically better off-roading capabilities. So yeah, the Fisker Ocean. I probably won't do a featurette on it just because of how many people are around the Fisker display. I do like the concept of it, using reclaimed plastic for the interior materials, cleaned up ocean plastic. That's how it gets the name Fisker Ocean. You know, they're basically building an all-wheel drive, small compact SUV, and you know, kudos to them. Like, one of the other reasons I'm not really that interested in doing a featurette beyond just how crowded it is right now, I want to see more. I want to see proof, because while yes, building electric vehicles is super easy to do, right? Like, I'm literally doing it right now in an open air carport with zero tools, and it couldn't be easier to put an EV back together again. It's not like Humpty Dumpty falling off of walls. So building an EV is easy. Actually selling it and making it compelling is a little bit more difficult. I want to see more from Fisker. And the truth of the matter is, you know, there's a lot of promises about pricing and capability, but they're entering what is possibly the most contested space right now. And, you know, I just looked at the Nissan Ariya. I'm going to go seek out the VW ID4. You have the Tesla Model Y. You have basically a bunch of cars occupying this sort of mid-sized, compact to mid-sized crossover SUV. How is Fisker going to differentiate themselves, right? And price, I don't think, is an option for a startup. Price isn't exactly the way that you're going to beat the larger automakers like Nissan that already have the supply chains, that already have the infrastructure built to produce their vehicles. So we'll see. But I mean, I'm obviously rooting for Fisker. I think it's a great looking car. It's got a lot of capabilities that I think people will appreciate. But again, I'm one of those people who needs to get hands-on experience with a vehicle, needs to actually be able to drive it, be able to test it. You know, for me, a lot of it is the proof is in the pudding. And yeah, it's a great looking vehicle, great concept, something that I support. But I want to see more before I do more. So yeah, good luck, Fisker. And this is nice to see here. Evgo actually having a display and a presence at the auto show, you know, kind of showing where they're building their chargers at. Again, this is actually more of a criticism of GM, because I know you're helping to fund some of these sites that are being showcased right now. So, I mean, yeah, I know Nissan is also helping Evgo out, but yeah, I would really, really like to see GM have some presence here too, or at least Chevy in terms of their EVs. Now, this is one of those things that I was wanting to verify too, because I haven't had a chance to get out to these sites yet, but the GM-funded sites are the 350 kilowatt or up to 350 kilowatt Evgo Chargers, and Evgo is apparently using Cygnet for those chargers. So it's no longer just Electrify America using the Cygnet Chargers, and of course this looks like the newest generation of Cygnet. Unfortunately, Cygnet, because they're based in Korea, does not publish a lot of easily discernible information for what they're shipping to our market, because some of these chargers seem to align with the chargers being used in Korea, but they don't exactly align. So it's kind of hard to decide or determine which models Evgo and Electrify America are using. Evgo is also using Delta chargers as well, which is a nice option because they do power splitting. And then, of course, Evgo is still one of the few charging network providers that's supporting CHAdeMO fully. And I'm also surprised that they don't have on this display the Tesla adapters that they've been using. And that's bad on Tesla also, because Tesla should have offered a CCS adapter long ago to their customers, and they've been holding out, probably to punish the public charging providers by forcing them to pay higher demand fees, which is just essentially squashing their competition, which is unfortunate because it's Tesla's customers that are paying the price more than anyone else. So that's really kind of bad on Tesla for doing that. But EVgo does offer at least the CCS and the CHAdeMO and the Tesla adapter at a lot of their sites. In fact, that last EVgo site that I used before I came over here actually had the Tesla adapter as well. So EVgo is doing a lot of good stuff. I think they have on their display, they're up to like 34 states now. My big criticism for them as a network, of course, is we need highway coverage, but I understand that they have the data, they have the analytics, and they know that a majority of their use case right now is in cities. So you want to put the chargers where they're being used first. So, but otherwise, it's just nice to see them here, and it's nice to see them providing a display for people who want to find out about more than just the Electrify America charging network. So apparently Edison Future does exist. I will again be looking forward to seeing what they actually produce.
A couple minutes wanted to talk about today. We're going to explain to you some of the advanced technologies we're looking at for this vehicle, the strategy that we have heading into it. But first I want to start with just a little bit of the history. People may not know that we've had, as a company, almost 2 decades of electrification. And a lot of that knowledge and experience is all being built in to the things we have coming here in the future. If you look here, it's unbelievable that in 2007, the Phoenix Group was at the White House displaying a electric pickup truck. We've seen the ups and downs of what's occurred in the EV industry. We've pivoted for many years in the commercial vehicle space, and it was obviously very viable. But now today, the continuing development and maturity and what's happening in the market, and over the over 3 million miles that we have on the road today of experience, we're bringing all of that now into our second brand, being Edison Future, in the electric pickup truck market.
Ah, yes. The Kia Niro Eevee. The car that I think a lot of you people believe that I owe an apology to. So, I'm not going to apologize. No, the truth of the matter is, and unfortunately this did not come out in my review of the Kia Niro Eevee, but I did actually like the Kia Niro Eevee a lot. I think what my pushback was on it was I was expecting a lot more car, and I don't want to say that the Niro Eevee was overhyped, because I think it performed exactly as Kia, as Kia advertised that it would. My issue was I was told that, nice LED for the charge port light. I was told that my experience in it would be just strictly better than the Chevrolet Bolt EV, the Hyundai Kona Electric, all of these other cars. And I think it just couldn't live up to the expectations that were set on it, because realistically, it's an incremental improvement over something like the Chevy Bolt EV that came out 2-3 years earlier, but it was just an incremental improvement. It wasn't groundbreaking, it wasn't anything significantly beyond that, and it did have some initial jitters and initial issues, because the one that I tested was one of the first ones that was available, at least the first model year, I believe. And so it needed to have those issues fixed before I think I could really give it a fair shake anyway. But we're here at the LA Auto Show anyway, and I'm focusing on these EVs, and yeah, I'll probably just do a quick feature out of this. So here's the Kia Ev6 display. I mean, it's pretty busy, looks pretty popular. I mean, it's a very stylish car. I don't see a lot of the base information on it, the stats or anything else like that. But just based on my experience with the Kia Niro Eevee, I'm sure, Kia is going to do a really good job with this car. It's got those sort of flush handles, so while Hyundai is copying Tesla's front fascia, it looks like Kia is copying their functionality with the door handles, which I'm not a huge fan of. This is interesting though, that this exterior trim, it's got a nice vertical lip spoiler here with additional air vents on the top. The Jaguar I-Pace actually uses similar air channels to improve aerodynamic efficiency. So, I mean, this should, just based on the profile and the design, this should be a fairly efficient car. You know, if you want to see efficiency of a vehicle, you just really have to look at the you know, the back end, and then you can kind of get a good idea of the back end of the car, and you can kind of get a good idea based on how aerodynamic it's going to be, based on the attention that the automaker has placed onto the rear of the vehicle, because that's where most of the aerodynamics and aerodynamic gains are going to come from. But otherwise, yeah, it's just a nice looking, interesting car. Maybe when it's a little less busy, I'll try to get in and test it out a little bit. Yeah, drive it off the lot. Yeah. Kia, movement that inspires. Oh, look, a Kia Bronco. Ah, too much blue. Too much blue. Camera. Oh, there you go. Whew. So this is why you come to the LA Auto Show. F100. More like E100. Ah, yes. So this is something that I really love to see, is automakers sort of pushing this idea of customizing and converting older vehicles to electric. Now, apparently Ford already sold out of their crate motors, the $4,000 crate motors. Now, I did a different video on the power density of batteries required to power like a 200 kilowatt motor. I think a lot of people that bought that motor maybe don't know what they were getting into, frankly, because you're going to buy a $4,000 crate motor that's going to cost you $40,000 to build a battery for, and that's probably not where you want to be. There are options, but yeah, it's something to consider, because right now, I think the motor technology, controller technology, the cost and availability has outstripped, you know, the availability of batteries. And while there are a lot of EV channels and media sites that are harping on thermal management being the restrictive element in battery design, that's actually not the case. The case is that a lot of these batteries just don't have the power density to do what you're expecting them to do. And until you're starting to pay $150, $200, $250, $300 per kilowatt hour, not even packaged for batteries that are capable of, you know, supporting the types of power outputs that people are looking to do, you know, it's just not going to be viable for DIYers, right? Oddly enough, lead acid batteries were cheap, and they had high power output but very low energy density. And yeah, that's what you know, right now people want the range and they want the power. Yeah, first you get the range, then you get the power. No, but yeah, this isn't how things work. You need to have a mix of both, and yeah, I think people just need to understand how that works. So they actually have a nice little card here. So yeah, this is the 480 horsepower. So I'm guessing they used the Mach-E GT powertrain for this one, which again, you try to put, like, what was it, something like 300 kilowatts of power. You try to build a battery capable of offering 300 kilowatts of power, it's just going to be really expensive and difficult and hard to integrate. And you know, I know that from firsthand experience. It's also interesting that they put the charge port here. The charge port on my Ford Ranger Electrics are actually in the front. Maybe no grill design. You can actually see how the battery integrates under here. I mean, overall, I love the idea. Like I said, I love the concept. We have 300 million gas-powered cars registered for road use in the United States. Something has to give, right? You're not going to build enough electric vehicles. You can't even build enough electric vehicles to offset attrition right now. how are you going to build enough to replace the gas cars that are currently on the road? So this is one of the only ways to do it. So awesome concept from Ford. Just like the Chevrolet, I believe it was the E10 is what they called it, that they converted, the C10 that they converted over with the Bolt EV powertrain and batteries. This is something similar to that, and I'm glad to see these automakers sort of embracing their classics and looking to convert them. So here's the F-150 Lightning. It looks like they're sort of metering people to try to get into the car to check it out. I can wait on looking at it. Of course, this is one of the most compelling EV trucks that's currently been announced. And, it's got the ability to run your house off of power. The bi-directional charger that's built into it is really impressive. I think a lot of people are shocked by the range numbers that they see in the F-150, especially displayed. I think Marquise Brownlee was one of them, where he's seen like 400 miles when they're only, advertising it as a 300-mile truck. But the thing that people need to understand is EVs already have a hard time with aerodynamics. Higher speed driving affects them more than it affects gas cars. And so what you'll end up seeing is about a 30 to 40% range drop once you hit 65 to 70 miles an hour. And that's the thing that people aren't realizing. So sure, tooling around town, you might be able to hit about 450, 500 miles on a charge. You go on the freeway, you're going to be lucky to do 250 to 300 miles on a full battery charge at 75 to 80 mile an hour driving. Throw a trailer in that, all of that. I've done a whole video on what you can expect for truck efficiency, and there seems to be a major disconnect because people don't understand how it works. They don't understand how trucks work, and they don't understand how aerodynamics works. And of course, kudos to Tesla for creating a market for EV trucks from people who haven't ever driven a truck before. But Ford knows what they're doing, and so their EV truck is going to be built for truck owners. So this is by far, to me, the most compelling EV truck that's been announced. I want to look forward to seeing how this stacks up against the Chevrolet Silverado EV, because the weakest aspect of the Ford right now is they're relying on older battery technology, which is going to be cheaper, going to get them to market sooner, but it's going to be less capable than some of the newer battery technology like GM's Ultium. So that's, I think, the biggest weak link, or the biggest weakness in the Ford F-150 Lightning. But otherwise, it's all around super capable. The only reason my Ford Ranger electrics aren't capable as a truck today is because of the battery technology. Fast forward 20 years, just that alone is perfect for contractors, perfect for workers, perfect for people who commute in their truck and use it as their everyday vehicle. And Ford, I think, nailed it. You don't need to go over the top with random designs. You don't need a stainless steel exterior. And truthfully, you don't even need 250 kilowatt or faster charging. Realistically, you're going to have to wait until the batteries are capable for an HD towing capable EV truck, and then you'll have to worry about the DC fast charging speeds. But right now, this is probably one of the most compelling EV trucks currently available, or currently available for order anyway. If you don't already have your order in, probably expect 3 years before you'll be able to buy one, because I think the demand is going to outstrip Ford's capability of producing. What are those? Oh my Lord. Whoever did this, read your own message. Don't touch this car. Oh my goodness. I get it. Pulled and rolled. Yeah, running wide, whatever. See, now this is actually okay. These are sort of those rally-inspired off-road rim design. Kind of like that. That's a little bit better. Solar panels. I love it. This is fun. This one is nice. I like this one. Here's the plain Jane Mach-E, which, I think I really like these. This is one of my favorite cars to come out. It's winning lots of accolades, and I think it's deserved, right? Like, you know, the Mach-E has become basically, in my opinion, one of the staple cars in the ranks of available American EVs, and I think it's well deserved, right? So it's kind of hard to see which trims are which. This is a small battery version. I'm guessing rear-wheel drive only, but yeah. So they have lots of variants, and I think that's one of the things that Ford did really, really well with the Mach-E, is presenting options to people who maybe you don't want a performance car, maybe you don't need the full 300 miles of range, maybe you do need the full 300 miles of range. So you have options here, all-wheel drive, premium package, you know, CCS, fast charging is sort of defaulted here. Yeah, I mean, it's just an overall good package. So, yeah, I already featured California Route 1, so maybe I won't do one here, or maybe I will, I don't know. These all seem to be very, very popular, very, very crowded, so I'm trying to keep out of people's ways. But yeah, this is just a nice display by Ford. You know, they're very proud of what they're doing with their electrics right now, and they should be. Leaving these EVs around everywhere. Anybody can pick one up. Just go grab it. So, you know, I just figured I would stop by and add some eye candy. The Porsche Taycan. And then, of course, they have the Sportback now, that Cross Turismo, which is going to be a little bit more usable. I mean, I see this sort of competing with like the Panamera and whatnot, so I'm giving additional options. I mean, obviously, this isn't a car that I cover much, just in terms of affordability. It's not what most people are going to be able to get, but they are beautiful cars, of course. They are Porsche, and they are very capable, and I really use these as sort of as the benchmark for what we can expect from EVs moving forward in the future. I mean, some of the technology that they use would never need to be put into mass market consumer level EVs, but some of it will, right? The 800 volt architecture, the ability to charge from basically empty to 80% in about 21 minutes, that sort of stuff are things that I think even mass market cars are going to want to have available, you know, for the general public buying. Even though I'm not necessarily huge on the absolute need for really fast DC fast charging, just because, being realistic, most people don't charge that way. They're, you know, if they don't have charging at home, a lot of times you want the chargers at grocery stores where they're going to be spending 30 to 45 minutes anyway. So, I mean, this is a truly capable road trip car, though. So, yeah, something of dreams. But they are finally producing some of the more affordable ones. So, about $70,000, which is, you know, something that I think some people can stretch for. Kia. E-GIMP. I think I get a global modular platform, but GIMP. Someone needs to let them know what that means in English. I mean, I don't even know what it means in English, so someone please let me know. But yeah, this is a nice overall architecture. You know, unless I missed, I don't know where the Cadillac and the GM specific section is. I only saw the Chevrolet section, but I'm looking for the Ultium display, so I'm not seeing that. So that's unfortunate. So, but yeah, skateboard battery, all-wheel drive platform, e-GIMP. So here's another company that I know very, very little about. VinFast. So they're an EV global premier. So let's see. Showing off at the LA Auto Show. Interesting. Okay, so I'm looking more for details about the car itself. So let me see what I can discern. So 300 kilowatt. So they're aiming at, I would say, somewhat performance oriented. A lot of times that power will be offset by the weight of the vehicle. So, I mean, they are making this a global platform. So 422 miles or 301 estimate. I guess depending on battery capacity. And without seeing that, I'm not really going to be able to tell whether that's reasonable for a vehicle like this. So just based on my experience, you have a vehicle this size. If you want to get 300 miles of range out of a vehicle this size, you're going to need at least 100 kilowatt hour battery pack and probably a little bit larger, 400. You're looking at close to a 150 to 200 kilowatt hour battery pack. So I'm not sure that I would trust that range figure. But that might be European estimates. I mean, this is a fairly large vehicle. I don't know if it's third row seating. Yeah, it is third row. So, but it looks like you have almost no rear cargo capacity. So this is almost like, say, maybe like an Atlas-sized EV, which is pretty interesting. And then this looks like a smaller sort of crossover SUV. So this is the 35, so I'm guessing smaller. I don't know what the number designates, but let's see. So it looks like this might be the same information overall. Yeah, 300. So yeah, even if they're targeting 400 miles in this, I would say you're looking at a minimum of 100 to 120 kilowatt hour battery pack. So that would still be very, obviously very expensive even at modern battery costs. But then the larger, I guess the E36 would require significantly more capacity. So maybe that's where they're getting the same battery size maybe for 300 and 400 miles, which could be, reasonable. I don't know how much we're able to get into or look around, but I guess they could always tell us to stop, but they have them up on these displays here, so they're approachable, but I want to do a little bit more research before I say too much about VinFast, but yeah, it's a cool option. Alright, so I do owe Toyota a slight apology. So they do have their all battery electric concept car, which is probably why I didn't notice it. I'm really mostly interested in the things that I can actually get into, touch, test, feel. So this is their looking at an all-wheel drive platform targeted for 2023. Toyota really should be able to do EVs right. So, I don't know why. I mean, I know kind of why they're worried. So yeah, 250 miles of range, which again makes it a fully capable EV for most people. But yeah, I know they're worried about jobs. Right, I think that's one of the big issues that they're seeing is how is the transition to electric vehicles going to affect jobs. And in Toyota's case, I think it also has to do with contracts with their suppliers, people who build ICE or internal combustion engine specific components. They feel like they're going to be left out in the cold with this sort of transition. And it's kind of like the whole Kodak transition where you stop you stop being relevant if you don't transition. I mean, imagine if Kodak had started developing, I don't know, memory cards and digital cameras and digital film and things of that nature, they would have probably been very, very far ahead of the game instead of being bankrupt. Now, I don't believe that Toyota will ever go bankrupt, and I think what they really need to do is something similar to what GM is doing, where, you know, the battery facilities that GM is putting together, they're making sure they're UAW workers. You have to work to transition. Just by the way, this front end is this kind of a interesting, cool little front end. This is very similar to the last generation Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, which when you talk to their design team, it was based off of the front of a Mako Shark, which again, you know, very efficient, very aerodynamic, sleek. Yeah, so I mean, this is like, and I've heard people, like I said, this is supposed to be, I think, on the same platform as the Solterra, which would explain the Subaru Solterra, which would explain why, you know, Subaru is saying about 220 miles, Toyota is saying about 250 miles, and that's in the ballpark. And I see people complaining, oh, you know, this is 2020 or 2022 almost, you know, why are you only having 250 miles of range? That's not even usable. Well, I'll call BS on that, because while I'm a huge proponent of 400 and 500 mile ranges, that's for people who need it. And if you don't need it, there's no reason for it. A 200 mile EV is cheaper to build than a plug-in hybrid electric, and it gets you exactly what you need. And if you do need to go farther, just make it basically DC fast charging capable, so a 30 to 40 minute meal stop will get you the rest of your way. That's why even the Nissan Leaf in its current form, I'm not too down on. So I think people are really off base in saying that 250 miles is too short of a range for people who are likely going to be plugging in and charging at home overnight, every night, never having to visit a gas station and never having the inconvenience of owning a gas car, which I think is something that Toyota is missing, right? In that they're so focused on their Prime line and their internal combustion assisted EV line that they're forgetting that having an internal combustion engine itself is a concession, and it's something that people have to deal with. And if they want to be convenient to their customers, they need to embrace pure electrics, which are much easier and much nicer to own. Just overall, like I own plug-in hybrids, and I'll tell you, they are as troublesome as both an electric vehicle and a gas car combined into one. So double your problems and double your troubles. But in this case, this is a good first effort. I like this collaboration between Subaru and Toyota. I want to see them keep pushing it. If this is their first offerings for both of them into the market, this type of a vehicle, you know, I'm all for it. I think these are great options. I'm looking forward to seeing them on the road. And if they're priced competitively, even better, right? My concern has always been getting butts in seats, and if Toyota can get butts in this BZ4X limited all-wheel drive, then more power to them. So, you know, good job Toyota, better late than never, and hopefully you can really push and embrace this and find a way to keep your contracts, keep your supply chains, your providers, and your workers happy, while still keeping your customers happy with all electric. So that's it. All right, so I think this is going to kind of conclude my time at the LA Auto Show. I mean, there's more to see. I think Sandy Monroe's Imperium is down there. Not too keen on checking that out just yet. We'll see. I think I just missed a speech from Henrik Fisker about the Ocean. He's meeting with the press. There's a lot of people. I'm just trying to avoid crowds as hard as that is while I'm here. But, you know, of course, I wish Fisker the best. I want to see these vehicles hit the road, and I'm really curious to see a lot more about their supply chain and how they're going to be building and manufacturing. So they're going to be one to watch, right? I'm never going to argue with an affordable, mass-produced EV that everybody can get a hold of. I'm a little disappointed, like I said, in GM. I didn't get to review VW either because it looks like they only had some sort of a weird driver experience thing outside. I just wanted the vehicles. I just wanted to check them out. I wanted to look at them. It's just overall, it was a decent show, but I feel like we're sort of lacking. I think Chevy needed to do better. I think they needed the Bolt EV and the Bolt EUV here, even though it's under recall, just to show the work that they're doing and fixing their batteries. I don't think that it would have been taken the way that they're maybe worried that it would have been. I think people would have been a lot more accepting. You know, nobody expects you to be perfect, but they expect you to fix your issues, and GM and LG are doing that. So, you know, Hyundai didn't shy away from bringing the Kona electric here. So, Kia, of course, always showing a lot of really good cars. You know, I owe Toyota a little bit of an apology for thinking that they weren't representing EVs at all. I'm happy that Subaru is getting into it as well. But overall, I think the automakers are, you know, they're doing a good job. And they're trying to balance promoting EVs over everything else, but I don't know that that's necessary. If you go out to the parking lot, I would say a disproportionate number of cars from media and journalists are EVs. Not just Teslas either, though that's the largest representation, I think, at this auto show in terms of car ownership by media, which is something that I think these automakers need to be aware of, because any coverage of this show is going to be filtered through those biases. And, you know, for me personally, of course, I'm focused on EVs, but I try to be as brand agnostic as possible. But these automakers need to understand that everything else is going to be filtered through a Tesla bias probably. And that's important to know, because that's the media that's getting out there. That's what people are talking about. So anyway, I'd love to hear what you think. If you go to the LA Auto Show, I'd love to hear what you liked the best about it, what you checked out, what you were able to do, see maybe what I missed. And, you know, maybe some of the other EV automakers that are kind of showcased here, like Edison Future, that I don't know a lot about, but I'm just sort of learning as they showcase more. Yeah, just tell me about them, what you're interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And News Coolum over and out.